See, that might be better.
Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to another star-studded episode of the Winding Down podcast, featuring yours truly, celebrity publicist Nicole Jordan, and I am King Jacob, and we have special guests today, none other than Miss Tiffany. So, just wanted to make the proper introduction. I'll hand it back over to you, Nicole, and we can go ahead and begin.
Hi, you guys. Thank you for joining us tonight and welcome to Winding Down Late Night Conversation. We have an amazing woman, Mrs. Tiffany Coleman. She's a national artist, and songwriter, actress, model, and the list goes on. I let her fill in the spaces and the blanks. So we want you to inform us about what's going on, what you're doing, what you have going on. And on the Winding Down show, what we usually do is introduce ourselves. And so I am Pavani J. Nicole Jordan, CEO and founder of Exquisite PR Firm, host of Winding Down Late Night Conversation, and host of Exquisite Conversation that just got launched Thursday before last. And to the left of me, I have
King Jacob W. Anthony II, Kennard Music Management, Kennard Media, COO of Exquisite PR Firm, and just an all-around great guy, and also a motivator, innovator, and a public speaker. So blessed to see everyone that's tuned in. And now we'll let Miss Tiffany introduce herself, so you'll get familiar with who she is.
Now kids want to come peep around the corner just as soon as I'm about to get started. But good afternoon. It's evening. Good afternoon in some places, maybe a couple hours behind from where I am. But Happy New Year to you all. It's a pleasure to be on the Winding Down podcast. A pleasure to meet Nicole and to be on, of course, again with Jacob. We've been friends for quite some time, but I am Miss Tiffany. I'm Mississippi's first multi-award winning Christian hip hop artist. I'm an actress. I played, of course, you all probably already know, and some of you who do not know, that I was one of Shine's baby's mothers on Empire. And so that was a great experience for me, quite a bit of a boost for where I was in my career at that time. And it has just continued to, help me to chart that path and break into the industry. Also a model and a published author. I've written a couple of children's books. One is entitled Hippos Downtown. The other one is My Dolly and Me, which I co-authored with my daughter when she was 5. She's 7 now. And that's in a nutshell what I do. And I'm sure we'll get a little bit more into the details of it as we go throughout the podcast.
Okay. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. So if I can get started and ask you, music. You're from Mississippi. So when I think of Mississippi, being raised in the church, I think of all the quartet groups. Like the Jackson Southerneers and the Williams Brothers and Willie Banks and the Messengers and the Kent Spirituals, and the list goes on. Yep. So with you being a Christian rap artist and being on a national stage, let's talk about how you got into the Christian rap. Let's talk about, did you transfer from secular to Christian, or was you always Christian?
No, I actually, was secular years ago, and started out that way. Ended up being in a bad car accident, and had quite a bit of severe injuries. I had a brain injury, had a spinal cord injury. Doctors had told my mother that I was clinically brain dead, that she would have to take care of me for the rest of my life, that I would be in a vegetative state. You know, I had a 360-degree fracture around my entire skull. My right jaw was fractured. Both of my eardrums were completely burst. My spine was fractured. And my intestine was torn. Like my ribs were bruised, my lungs and all that stuff, everything. It was a lot of stuff going on with me at that time. And honestly, when I was in a coma, I feel like I was in a dream, you know, and God showed me some things. He told me some things. He showed me this time. I just didn't, in spirit, I knew it. But in the natural, I had to catch up to it, right? So when I came out of this coma, of course, I didn't have the desire to put out the message that I was putting out before as a rapper. And so I broke away from the group, you know, for 9 whole years. I didn't write, I didn't rap, I didn't record, I didn't do anything dealing with that past life, right? I was on a path with God. And I just decided that, hey, I'm just going to right now just focus on my academics, and I'm going to go to school. I'm going to finish college. I went on to get my master's degree, you know, married, had children at the time and stuff and everything. And, you know, and then I felt like, God, you know, I've done everything that the world says or society or my family expected for me to do at this point in my life. I don't feel fulfilled. What would you have me do? And this is 9 years post the accident, right? And I'm sitting in the parking lot at the Salvation Army because my sons are going to the after school program there. And I'm like, Lord, what would you have me do? And I remember how full the clouds were in the sky that day. And God said, you're going to rap again. And I was like, this ain't God. This the devil telling me to rap again. What do you mean rap? And he was like, no, he said, this time you're going to spread the gospel. You're going to spread the message of Jesus. I'm like, I never heard of it before. So it was a true revelation from God. Truly, God spoke that to me and told me to do it. And I was like, well, Lord, I haven't been praying. I haven't been going to church like I should. I mean, I just literally tried to disqualify myself in that moment. Now, not, you know, believing that I had what it took to actually be a minister of the gospel and to go forth, you know, with gospel rap, because I had never saw it happen before. And of course, God was like, you know, the Holy Spirit was like, hey, your heart is in the right place. You really want to do what God is telling you to do. But say it like this. And I said, okay, I got it. You know, Lord, whatever you tell me to say, I'll say it. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do it. Wherever you tell me to go, I will go. And I felt the download at that moment. Everything is like I was just pregnant with the word, pregnant with whatever God wanted me to do at that moment. So I went to go and purchase a notebook, a new pen, and all of that. And I set it to the side when I made it home. And I told my sons, you know, don't doodle in this book, don't draw in it, don't sketch, don't do anything in it, don't touch it. I'm not going to even touch it until it's time. And I could see the words on the pages before I ever wrote a word on the pages. I could see the book filled with lyrics from God, with words from God. And I just didn't know how they were going to get there. But I had the faith that God was going to do it. And so about 8 weeks passed by. 8 weeks passed by, and God stopped me in my tracks, because every day I had to see that notebook when I came into my room. And he said, if you don't do it now, everything that I ever showed you is never going to happen. And I said, yes, Lord, I hear you. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So I was standing on my soapbox one evening, getting ready to go out and have some dinner. And I started talking about some things that were going on in ministry at that time. And then the words just came to me just like that. I ain't preaching to the choir because they already believe. So I run from the mirror, go and jot it down on the notebook. And I go back to the mirror and finish trying to get myself made up and everything. And it's like this ministry with no walls, I'm taking gospel to the streets. So I keep hearing God's voice, and he's speaking to me, and it's constantly pouring out. I'm running back to the notebook. The Holy Spirit said, take the notebook back over to the dresser with you while you're getting ready. And as you're getting ready, jot these lyrics down. It got to the point of where it got on me so heavy, and it was so prophetic that I had to put the makeup down, sit down on the bed, and I wrote the song in like 15 minutes. And that has been the foundation of the ministry. You know, God sent me outside of the four walls of the church onto the streets to minister to people, you know, that were not church, that were possibly not believers, and, you know, who had been lost or downtrodden. And nobody was going to seek or check for them. And so God sent us, me and a couple of my fellow laborers, out to go and meet those people where they were. And that is what my foundation, you know, what the foundation of our ministry has been built upon. And I've been going ever since. This is year 9 for me. I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and things have shifted for me now. I recently opened for Dietrich Haddon in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So that was a great door that opened for me, and I'm just continuing to go. I've opened for many people. Many of you know that I made history at the Stellars in 2019 as the first solo female rap artist to ever receive a Stellar nomination. And so I'm just doing what God called me to do, and it's a pleasure to be able to use your gifts and to walk forth and knowing that God has called you to a good thing and that He'll complete the work. As long as you continue to walk.
Okay.
Jacob said, okay.
Wow. Wow. No, that's a remarkable testimony of you people telling your mom that you're gonna be a vegetable, that you'll never be able to talk and walk and think for yourself, and so many bumps and bruises and internal injuries and external injuries. So here we are on the Winding Down podcast, talking to Miz Tiffany, so which I think is a blessing in itself. So with that being said, upon recording your very first song, once you went to the studio and you played it back, what type of place were you in mentally and emotionally once you played that song back to yourself?
You're gonna make me cry. And the reason why is not because of the song, it's because of the producer, who was a classmate of mine that I've known since we were in the 6th grade, since we were just 10 or 11 years old. And he recently passed from COVID. He produced my entire album, my entire EP. He was like a best friend to me. His name is Ryan Lewis. He went by Red Boy Million. If you listen to my songs, you'll hear his tag at the beginning, his producer tag at the beginning of just about every song that's on the album. And I always thought, after he passed, how can I even listen to these songs? How can I even go forth and perform a song? And I didn't think that I would be able to do it, but it actually empowered me. But in that moment when we recorded, I remember seeing Ryan. I hadn't saw him in years. And I saw him I was working at a nonprofit at a medical mall facility here in Jackson, Mississippi. And we crossed paths, and I told him, that I hadn't been doing anything lately. And he was telling me that he had just come back in from California, and he had been working with a lot of big names, big stars and everything. And I told him, well, I might contact you one day. I might want to do something. At that time, I still hadn't, gospel rap was not on my radar. I still hadn't had the revelation yet. But when I finally did get it, I ran across him again at the gas station, and I said, I know what I need to do now. I'm ready. And he said, just let me know whenever you're ready. And so I called him one night and I said, you know what? They're having a showcase. It was Doug Williams on the panel. Chandra Wise was on the panel. Shout out to Chandra and Doug. And quite a few, I think Troy Sneed was there, and Percy Davis, quite a few people here in Mississippi and that are known in the industry and in radio. And they were all on the platform, it's Percy's platform. And I show up, in this all white ensemble, and they think that I'm going to sing because I'm basically just up there dressed like an angel, right? And the beat comes on, and everybody's mouth dropped, right? Everybody's mouth dropped. And this is my first time performing. I literally went to Ryan's studio and we recorded that song just as quick as I had written it. 15 minutes, he mixed it, mastered it, he was just that good. He mixed it, mastered it and everything. And I was supposed to go the night before, but he canceled on me and told me to come the morning of. And I said, the showcase is in the morning. What do you mean? He said, come in the morning. I got you. It's not going to take long at all. I promise you. And so I did. And when I heard it, I couldn't believe it, that I finally had a song and I had done what God called me to do. And that was just the one at that time. But when I went forth in it, I could have very easily got deterred and said, I ain't doing this, because I felt like I was being eaten, alive in the moment of, this new thing. And then I'm going in front of these, traditional quartet, gurus and vets, in the industry in their own right. That in it itself right there was, had me shaking in my boots, but I was bold with it. I went forth. I was confident in the word that God had given to me. So I wasn't scared. And obviously it didn't deter me because I'm still going. That was 2013, Okay.
Great. So, Nicole, I want you to jump in here and give some of your PR expertise. PRs ask some very vital questions when it comes to navigating through the entertainment industry. So I want you to jump in here. I don't want to take up all the time because she knows Jacob's voice, so she need to hear
Yeah, I
yours.
wasn't gonna. I was waiting. I was waiting till you got done, Jacob.
Okay, okay, okay.
So it's really interesting to me your bounce back.
Yeah.
Hearing the things I had the chills over here just listening to you say your spine and your lungs and your the whole 360. You didn't say 180. You said 360 of your skull was cracked. Now, upon that happening, did you feel a euphoric feeling because you said the Lord talked to you and you heard him, and I know that feeling. And then you got out there on the stage. Was there any jitters, or was it just you went out there and did what you had to do?
I just went out and did what I had to do. In the moment where I hit my head in the accident, I was totally unconscious, but I didn't feel, I can say I felt no pain whatsoever that entire time. With all of those injuries, I didn't feel not an ounce of pain whatsoever. And I did have an out of body experience. And I mean, it would take me another 30 minutes to tell y'all all of that, but I did have an out of body experience at that time. And yeah, so when I performed on the stage that day, though, I wasn't afraid.
At all.
I wasn't afraid. I was empowered. I was empowered at the moment, just
You had all the energy.
the Holy Spirit.
Okay. And so let me take you back to the accident, if I may.
Mhm.
And you said you didn't feel any pain, and this was a car accident that you had. That
Yes.
someone. Okay, so after everything that you've had happen, and now you have children,
Mhm.
and you're married. How does your family feel to watch you go from where you were, your husband anyway, because you didn't have children at the time of this incident, right? So what does your husband think? That how does that navigate with him that you do everything that you do?
Um, Here's one of them now, the oldest one. Again, I won't make him come on camera and say hello.
Yes, they can absolutely.
No, they'll stay. No, they'll stay away then. They've been supportive. They've been supportive. My family has been supportive. I can't say that every moment has been easy. There have been times where there were things that were going on, and the enemy will use people sometimes to get at you spiritually. You know what I mean? It's never the flesh and blood fight. It's the spiritual battle. That's the spiritual part, right? And so
Absolutely.
I can't say that, it was particular family members who would get at me. It was the enemy that would work through them sometimes to get at me. And that still happens every now and then to this day. I won't call any names or anything like that. But for the most part, nobody's ever tried to just say, hey, you shouldn't do this. What are you doing? Or you shouldn't go here, or you shouldn't do that. Like, they saw what happened to me at that time when I was in the intensive care unit. They know how I used to rock. I've always been a pretty good girl, straight A student and all of that stuff. But they know, how I used to rock, as far as delivering on the stage and everything. And so for God to touch me, to give me a touch and then tell me to do something, like they pretty much trust my judgment. And if I say that God said something, or if that I'm led to do a certain thing, they pretty much will follow my lead. You know what I mean? And so I haven't had many issues in that area.
Okay. So out of everything that you do, the acting, the modeling, um, the rapping, everything that you do, who is who would you say that you would like to work with?
There's quite a few people that I would love to work with. I had the pleasure of being on set with Terrence and Taraji when I was on the set of Empire. I would love to work with Taraji again in a greater capacity. I would love to work with her and see what would come from that. There are quite a few people, gospel wise. I want to do a song with Shirley Caesar. I do. Jacob, can you make that happen?
I have some connection with Shirley, and with Karen Clark and her daughter, along with
Look out for that. Look out for that. This,
yeah.
Those things are being. Some of that stuff is being discussed right now. I won't call names, but yeah. So
yeah, for me, who I want to see you do a song with.
Oh, I'm interested. Who?
Is Erica Campbell.
Oh yeah, that would be good. I opened Erica a few years ago when she came to Jack.
When she had those two songs, I Need a Little More Jesus and I Love God. I actually thought about you when I heard those songs.
You know what's amazing? The notebook that I had, I wrote in that notebook that I wanted to tour with Erica Campbell, because at the time when I was writing the songs is when she came out with that new sound. So I said Erica would be down with this because she has a whole new sound, so she would be open to a female Christian rapper. And so I wrote it in the book. And I took a picture. When I took a picture with her after I opened the concert, I shared that with her, and she was like, "Congratulations, it happened. You did it. God did it."
Yes, that
was another collab. That would be great.
Yeah. And then I would also love to see you work with the singer Tone.
Yes, that's been a desire in my heart for quite a few years. I actually know someone who's really good friends with him. So who knows where this thing is going to go? I tell you, these 8 songs that I just recorded in Minnesota. Yeah, I think that any feature requests I have after this release will be just, a drop in the bucket. Like, people will want to. When I say it's good, it's really good.
So, upon you being in this gospel industry, I'm just going ahead and put it out there. Nicole started as a PR in the gospel industry. Wow. So she knows a lot about the gospel industry and the stage plays. And if she could chime in on that and not be so shy on this live and just tell you more.
Oh, I'm not being shy. I'm just being modest. I'm not being shy. Yes, I did. I started my PR career in the gospel realm in Atlanta. And my very first official client was Pamela Johnson, 7-time award-winning gospel artist. And I also cover the awards, the Stellar Awards, Steeple Awards. And I did that for a few years, and I did that interning also. So yeah, I don't know how much you want me to fill her in with, Jacob, but I don't know. What do you say? You go around you learn, you learn, and you cover the. I mean, like, it wasn't easy. I when you just said something that resonated with me. When you said that you get ate up out there if you don't know what you're doing.
Yep.
No one cares. No one cares. So you have to be a monster, and you have to turn yourself into what you need to make it. It's not an easy road. Just even watching the artists go into the studios, and when you have those writer's blocks, and they're writing, and you watch them get frustrated, and you're in there trying to help them. Get something to eat, just walk away for a minute, and you watch the frustration set in, because sometimes they want to go in there and you might not be able to put that 15 or 8 or 9 tracks down in 35 minutes like you just did that last time. This one might take 2 days. So yeah, I've watched it, and I really appreciate you and everything that you've been through and all that you've done. So I'm just paying attention. I'm paying attention.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Appreciate that. So just wanted to inform her of what you've done, on the sector of the
Yes, I have.
publicity, marketing, the branding. So, so upon that, Miss Tiffany, let's talk about what made me notice you. Um, I want to say that I have a cousin in Biloxi that plays bass guitar for a lot of churches, and I think one of his people shared your post, and I think it was Soul. So I
Uh-huh.
she's Soul. So let me see what the gospel division got to say about Soul. You know what I mean? So I listen. I listen on a Tuesday. Then I listen Wednesday. I listen Thursday. So I listened up until Monday morning. And I contacted you but Monday, and asked would you be open for an interview? You said yes.
Right.
And so upon that, we talked, and we talked about how your career evolved, and I told you that great location would be everything for you because you need to be around like-minded people. And
Yeah.
and you agreed. And so since then, you've traveled all over the country as well. You haven't really made that move, but you make moves. So not that move, but you make moves. So as we like to say, baby girl moving and grooving. You know what I mean? So upon that, let's talk about the creativity of so you know how you felt when you wrote it, how you felt when you recorded, and were you surprised how well it did?
Yes, I'm sold. It's actually, I don't want to say it's my favorite song, but it really is one of my favorite songs. I couldn't believe that I wrote it because it was really an instantaneous thing. Ryan was making the track, and I was standing behind him, kind of up elevated above him. He had this little platform in the studio. And as he was making it, he was starting, he would play a loop and, it would keep looping. And then it just came to me. So I pulled my voice recorder out on my phone and I just started saying it, what came out. And it felt good, And I'm like, something is on this. And so I went back home and I finished writing it. And it was the last song that I wrote for the EP, and turned out to be everybody's favorite, honestly. Everywhere I go, like some people have asked me to do it twice, do the Soul song again. And that has happened several times. So actually charted on Digital Radio Tracker, and it made it to number 13 in the top 50 on Digital Radio Tracker. Or was it last year? It was 2020.
Mm-hmm.
See how 2020 did us? I can't keep up with the time anymore, but yeah, so it did really well on Digital Radio Tracker, and yeah, it's one of my favorite pieces. It was a definitely an anointed moment, a divine moment that when it came to me, it just fell out of nowhere.
So from your experiences, what experience really had you as you're thinking while you're writing a song in your creative process? What experience of yours really kind of gave you that when you was writing so or that or like what mental capacity were you in when you was in the studio with Ryan and you guys recorded so like what was your mental state?
It was actually, I was making a statement. I was essentially saying that there's nothing that anyone can offer me that God has not already given to me, and that I can't be bought. So it's kind of like a twofold meaning. I'm sold. My soul belongs to God. It already belongs to Him. But I also can't be bought because I've been redeemed. I've been purchased, with the blood of Jesus. I'm already sold to that. You know what I mean? And so there's nothing that anyone can offer me. And I thought about Jesus when He was up on the mountains, when, the enemy came to try and offer Him the kingdoms, which He already had, all of that belonged to Him already. So it was a trick. You know what I mean? And so I was basically saying and making a statement before this even released. And mind you, these songs didn't come out until 4 years after I wrote them. God made me wait a whole 4 years after I wrote them and recorded before I could even release them. But it was a declaration, to say that, hey, I'm here. This is what I do. This is who I belong to. And, don't even step and try it because it's not going to work.
Okay. So I love it. So, upon me hearing that, I said, you know what? She's different. And so when you shared with me about your experience at the Stellar Awards and then we got into me telling you, you ever thought about acting? And you was like, oh, I have, yes, I am in that lane as well. And so let's talk about your experience of you getting to Empire. When you told me how you discussed this with your mom and your mom, gave you that validation. Let's talk about that mother's validation. You know what I mean?
Maybe she's watching tonight. She can validate some other stuff. Anyway, so yeah, my mom, this story is so wild, right? So my music, I Ain't Preaching to the Choir, I went to Atlanta to film the video, right? While I was in Atlanta, I met people there who thought I was beautiful, wanted me to model and be on certain platforms and everything. And so I actually got my first modeling gig while I was there. Got offered a couple others, but I had to get back to Jackson and they were at a time where it just wasn't going to work out. And anyway, I was networking down there. So I came back here and I started modeling and working with some photographers and boutiques that were here. And we just exchanged, our gifts with one another and just kind of built each other up at that time. And while I was working with a photographer, his name is Mitch Davis, I was working with Mitch and Mitch was like, hey, have you ever thought about acting? You have some nice features. You should go for some stuff. And so I was like, okay, he sent me some information. I followed it. And about 2 hours after I submitted, I got a call from the casting agency in New Orleans that does the casting for Queen Sugar. And so I was on, actually, made it to 2 episodes of Queen Sugar, which was a great experience for me. I got a chance to meet some great people there in New Orleans and got a chance to be on a real set to see how things work. I was listening to, the lingo that they were using. I was paying attention to everything, the behind the scenes, the directors, the cameramen, the extras, the stand-ins, all of that, how they had everything set up. Because not only do I want to just be in front of the camera, I want to be behind the camera as well, which with this movie that I have coming out, I've been doing a little bit of both. Anyway, and so while I was doing that and breaking into, and to being on set in a television series, I got a call from one of the staff members or recruiters from Dr. Bobby Jones, and they had never had a female gospel rapper on the showcase, and they saw my video and they thought that I would make a great fit, and so they asked me to come up to Nashville, and so I did that. And then a few months later, probably maybe some weeks, maybe a little bit over 3 or 4 weeks, I got a call from the casting agency in Chicago, and they said that the directors of Empire had saw some photos of me and wanted to know if I would be interested in playing one of the baby's mothers. And so I said yes. And I was a little concerned because I was thinking, I don't know which way the show is going to go. What if the baby's mamas are in the bed together? What if they got a kids? What if they, I didn't know what they were doing. They didn't tell me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the show was taking a lot of turns at that time. But let's go back a little bit. Okay, season 1, Empire, when it came out, it was 2015. And I believe it was spring of 2015 or winter going into spring. My mom was watching the show on Fox and I had not seen it. I don't watch TV like that. And so she called me one day and she was like, hey, it's this show on Fox. It stars Terrence Howard and Taraji Henson. She was like, and it's about, the music industry, and they run a record label called Empire, and you should watch it because you may learn some things about the music that will help you with your music career. Now, this is me 2 years into gospel rap now. My mama calling saying, watch Empire because you might get some tips for your music, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to check it out. And so she calls back the next week when the next episode has aired. And she's like, did you catch Empire tonight? And I was like, no, I didn't catch it yet. I was like, I'm gonna catch the next one. So she called me back again. Every week it was coming on, like the first 3 weeks. She would call and say, did you watch the show? And I was like, no, I hadn't watched the show yet. I said, I'm gonna watch this show this weekend. I'm gonna binge watch. I'm gonna go on demand and I'm gonna watch these 3 episodes. So, to appease her, let me see what it's about. And so I did on a Saturday. I watched the first 3 episodes, fell in love with the storyline, with the characters and all of that. And, I was amped up. I got on the phone, I called my mama and I was like, you know what? I was like, I love this show. And she was like, yeah, it's good. So we on the phone talking about it, what was going on, like the soaps and everything. And I have a vision, an open vision while I'm on the phone with her. And I said, I'm going to be on there one day. And she was like, yeah. She was like, if you believe anything is possible. I said, no, you don't understand. I said, I just saw myself standing on the stage with Terrence and Taraji. And she was like, well, God can do it. He can do anything. Just have faith and believe he can do the impossible. And so flash forward 2 years later, there was season 1. And that's when I got the call in season 4. And so the first episode that I was on, it was season 4, episode 8. I was in the scene with Exhibit, which he played the character Shine, and Hakeem. We were outside, and that's when the kids were playing in the yard and everything. And what's amazing about that is I always wanted to meet Exhibit when I was a teenager, and he had this show called Pimp My Ride that came on MTV. And I used to watch it all the time. And I was like, this man, I wish that somebody can come pimp my ride. Come pimp this 94 Pontiac Grand Am that my mom gave to me to go to college and for high school. Can somebody come and pimp this ride? Like, I was so like, how do they find you? How do they know where you are? I hope he come and ring my doorbell one day, right? And so it was amazing that when I got there and on set, and he was so down to earth, so kind. He called his wife on the phone and was like, hey, here, I'm standing here talking to my baby mama here, and talk to her on the phone. It was a joke. So I'm on the phone with his wife, like, hello. And she's laughing, I'm laughing. I give the phone back to him. And in that particular scene, they were actually doing an advertisement for a vehicle. So they did a commercial like for the car, which was crazy because, I'm thinking of the association with Pimp My Ride, which he was doing cars back then. And anyway, this was a car commercial that Empire had going with some type of endorsement as well. So anyway, I got a chance to meet him. And so you would think that, okay, maybe I just saw myself accessing the show, but in my vision, my original vision, I saw Terrence and Taraji. I didn't see Exhibit, okay? So anyway, I'm sitting on the porch, right, with the other baby mama. And let me tell you about this. The other baby's mama, she starts talking. She said, oh, my brother-in-law is from Mississippi. Now, this lady lives in like Rockford, Illinois. She said, my brother-in-law is from Mississippi. I'm like, oh, okay. She said, yeah, he's in the church. They call him Big T. And she was like, he's in the church and he's security for his pastor. So my wheels started turning at that time. She said, his name is Terrence. I'm like, oh, okay. His wife's name is Tiffany. I said, that's crazy. My name's Tiffany. My husband's name is Terrence. That's crazy. And I thought about it. I said, wait a minute. The ministry that I started my hip hop ministry in, the armor bearer for the pastor, his name is Terrence and his wife's name is Tiffany. Turns out I'm sitting next to her, and this is her brother-in-law. Her brother-in-law was the armor bearer for the church that I had started the ministry in. Now, I mean, who does that? Out of all the millions and billions of people on the earth. And I'm sitting here with her, on this porch. She was selecting and I was too. And so she says, well, if they call us back to do another scene, are you going to come back? What are you going to do? And I said, yeah, I'm going to have to. They've already shown me I'll have to come back. And she said, when you come back, don't worry about getting a hotel. You can just stay with me. We'll ride to set together. I'm like, okay. So that was cool. God was connecting me to people and making provisions all along the way. Then they call us back in a couple months, and that was season 4, episode 16. And we were in Club Leviticus, and that is when I was on the stage with Terrence and Taraji. And so that's how that happened. So I saw it last. I saw it first.
Look at God, though. Visions are everything.
Yeah, absolutely they are. And I see that you have your relationship with God is so profound that you have visions, and so many people. And so many people do, and feel energy, and it's an amazing thing that you're able to correlate and know and acknowledge that this is what it is. And with that being said, and now that you know that, is it almost an anticipation to see or to wait? You don't know when it's going to happen, but you just know it. Did you know that you know that you know that it's going to happen?
Oh, I know it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. It's just like when he gave me the revelation about the gospel rap. And so me being inquisitive, I go to Google and I look up to see, am I this original? What is this? And I Google gospel rap, and then the first rapper that I see is The Truth, right? And then I start to see the others, Lecrae and all these others, and I see this whole culture out here. And I'm not gonna tell y'all yet, but I can't even say it yet. But oh my God, the first person I saw was The Truth. That's all I can say. Okay, that's all I can say right now.
Okay, but I will say this.
But y'all read between the lines, though, right?
When it comes to gospel rap, I done heard some great gospel rap, but man, listen, man, Lecrae different.
Yeah.
So he different, man. Like when I hear the Twitter mentions of Jay-Z and Jada Kiss and E40 and you got people like Dub C and Mac 10 talking about they bumping Lecrae. Like, that's different, man. When the gangsterism type fellas still can bump you, just like I say Marvin Sapp different, because I know just as many as gangsters as regular church folk that listen to Marvin Sapp. I know gangster people that listen to Marvin Sapp. He different. He different.
And you know what? For me, that's like I said, I ain't preaching to the choir because they already believe. That's the point of it all, is to reach those who are not,
Mm-hmm.
They're not coming through the doors. They're not church. They're not sitting on the pews. Like, reach the gangsters, reach the prostitutes, reach, the drug dealers, reach the crackheads, reach all. He's all things to all men. So if Lecrae can get a Crip or a Blood or anybody to listen to him and bump him and receive a word,
so be it.
So be it.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. What I'm saying, your music has evolved when it can reach certain levels of whoever it may be. It can just reach people from different walks of life. You know what I mean? So that's how the message in your music is powerful than you ever realize it could be. You know what I mean? So Tiffany, let's get into this movie that you got. You know what I mean? Like, I want to hear more about it. I want to know what's going on with the movie. You know what I mean?
Y'all know I always have a story. I'm gonna try to make it short and sweet, right? Because it's getting late. Okay. We winding down. Come on.
I love it. I love it. That was great.
Look, she said, you ain't gotta go home. Y'all ready there. Go get in the bed. All right. Shielded by His Grace is the name of the short film. It's a Christian film, faith-based film, I would say. And I'll tell you, I had been praying after traveling to all these different places to work. Like you said, I haven't made that move, but I've been making some moves, and I've been here and there and everywhere. That starts to add up. That's an investment. I have to, in order to get paid, I have to be able to make it there to show up for the work before I can get paid, right? Mm-hmm. And so that became, after a while, years of doing that, I was like, Lord, I want to work at home. I want to get some work at home. I want to be able to work on some of this stuff at home. I don't want to have to keep, going out as much. Now, I love to travel, love getting out, love going to do my thing and, meeting new people, new cultures, seeing different stuff. Like, I thrive on that, that helps me feel like I'm breathing and I'm alive. But I wanted to work at home. I wanted things to be a little bit easier. And so I prayed about it. Well, I saw a flyer that was with a casting flyer for a movie that was coming up, right? Didn't have a name yet, just a casting flyer for a movie. And guess what? The dates that they were having the auditions, guess where I was gonna be? On tour, in Canada and in Michigan and, in all these other places. And I wasn't going to even be able to make it. Like, how is it going to be a movie audition here? I've been praying for this and I can't even make it to it because I'm going to be out of town. Well, I said, well, what's for me is for me, So I went on because everything was already scheduled and booked and everything. And when I got back to Jackson, a friend of mine sent the flyer to me. He texted it to me. And he said, I know some people who are working on this movie. He said they had a casting call this past weekend, and they have one role that they didn't get anybody for, and it's the lead actress role. And, contact them. Here's the information, and let's see what happens. And so I'm like, okay, look at this provision. That's God. But I still wasn't sure yet of how it was going to go. And so I reached out to the contact person and they sent me the script. I read the script and I'm like, wow, feels like somebody wrote this about me, in a way. So I read through it a couple times and they told me to meet them at the studio the next day. And so I did. I went there and I met the person who wrote the script. Her name is Tamika Shields. And didn't know that I knew Tamika, but I knew Tamika. I knew her from years back. I had met her one time before, but she didn't remember me at the time, and I didn't remember her. But anyway, and so when I walked in, before I got there, I prayed and I said, Lord, just let your presence be known, through me when I go into the place. I said, what's for me is for me. I've been praying for this, and I really hope that things work out in my favor. And so when I show up at the studio, Tamika is there. Nobody else is there yet. And she's waiting at the front desk. And she said that when I walked in, I started talking to her and everything. She started telling me about the movie and I started telling her about it because I had read the script. So she was impressed with it. Well, she had the scripts in her hand as well. And so when the other people who had been casted, the other actors came in, they sat down and we were all getting ready to, go over the script and everything. And she started passing out the folders to everybody and telling what their names were and what characters they were going to play. So she passed it out to so-and-so and called their name out, passed it to everybody. And she gets to me last and she said, this is Tiffany. I hadn't even, read for an audition or anything. She said, this is Tiffany and she's going to be our lead actress. Just like that.
Wow.
Just like that. And so after we went through, that process, and when everybody was leaving, she pulled me to the side and she said, when you walked in, she said, I hear from God. She said, when you walked in, God told me that you were the lead actress. So I didn't have you to read or to audition or do anything. It's because he told me that you were.
Wow.
And, weeks later, we found out that, Tamika was, with someone before who was doing that type of work. And I had crossed paths with that person before too. And we had actually spoken to each other in passing. And so, now reconnected and, really good friends. And so we finished the last two scenes today. And we're hoping for a release of 2/22/22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Around the corner.
Right around the
corner. Yeah, it's right around the corner. We might have to get Nicole on some things for us and see if she can help push us out in some type of way.
Absolutely. We'll definitely do some connecting. We'll definitely do some talking. I kind of got a tooth thing going on. I didn't want to say nothing, but as I'm looking in the camera, I'm noticing my face is kind of swollen on the side. So that's why I really was trying to just keep it to
You know what? My orthodontist, when I was going to the orthodontist at one point, I was like, one of my jaws feel like the other one is more pronounced and the other one is like a little flat. She said, well, that's because you chew on that side. It's more pronounced. You chew on that side. And so she's like, I know what you mean though, but everybody's like that. So
I'm just wondering, when is it gonna stop?
Oh,
when is the pain gonna stop?
You gotta take something.
So I'm really just how fast everything happened for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they call Godspeed in an expedient manner.
Yes.
I'm interested to see what your mid 2022 is going to look like after this movie premiere.
There was something on that. Yes. There was something on that. Wait a minute. I got to get up there. Yes. She said, what your mid 2022 going to be looking like? Okay. Because it's,
something is about to happen.
Let me calm down.
Everything is already happening. Everything is already happening. Yeah, everything is already happening. But the connection is definitely divine. I'm listening and I'm paying attention and I'm feeling the energy. I too am an intercessor. Like I can hear him and I can feel him and I can I try to navigate that way. I don't always know what to do. I just know what not to do. I don't always know what to do. So you be still and you pray about some things, and I prayed about some things, and all my connections and the things that are happening in my life, they're not as profound as yours. You know, you had a major accident, which probably shook some things up. You could very well be using more than 10% of your brain. You could very well be doing that. And anytime you can jump up and do that from the words that I say, you can feel some things.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. I'm really excited. Will you guys have a movie premiere?
We've been planning and hoping, but with this COVID, and really it's a little to no budget production, honestly, just putting it out there. We want to do something. We're going to do something.
So
still planning.
Even though it's a little, even though it doesn't have, we can talk. Even though it doesn't have a budget, it can still be a premiere with the right connections, and then the premiere can be done in different sectors. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mississippi, you can do Louisiana, surrounding states, bring it to Chicago, go to South Carolina. I mean, it could be some things done.
Amen.
Yeah. And so, when are you going back into the studio to make your next
part of the album?
Yes. I just got to me out.
We're gonna right now. We're listening to what we have. We're listening to what we have right now and planning that out. So I imagine it will be soon because we're feeling a little, kind of behind on that part of it. And needing to go ahead and get it done so that we can move forward in solidifying, some other stuff. So
I noticed that a lot of people, a lot of rappers, a lot of people in that industry, in the music industry, hip hop, gospel hip hop, and with you being the first female nominated award winner. And you're also an actress. I don't want to really put it on the table for you, or ask you to put it on the table, but which one do you desire the most?
I already said it before, so you're not asking me anything that I'm not comfortable with answering. Okay. Music has always been my heart, and I could always do music. You know what I mean? I don't think that I would ever stop that I can do music in some capacity, whether it's just writing a song, and somebody else be the artist for it. Like I could always, I don't see myself bouncing around on the stage when I'm 80.
Right.
But Cicely Tyson was still behind the camera at 80 or however old, she was. And so there's longevity in that. I want to act more. I want to do more TV work and movie, work. I want to be in film a little bit more than that. And if I had to make a choice, I want to go for the screen. But I don't think I can make a choice. So
I mean, that's where the money's at.
That's interesting, though. That's interesting.
It's interesting. Why did you say that?
Because the screen
music was the vehicle to get me to where I wanted.
What's interesting about it to me, because the screen ain't make us know who Miz Tiffany was, the music did.
I never let the music go. I would never let the music go. Right now, this is the fun on screen. Everybody
to me, it's like when Whitney did TV. Yeah, she was, she did movies. Yeah, they said Whitney is a movie good, but when they said Whitney got a new song, I said, what it sound like?
Yeah,
You got the CD there, bro. Like it's to me the emotional part of music hits different from film.
Which is
You're
true.
right. I think you get more of the person and their personality and their emotions in the music than,
Right.
like I said, than you would in a film, because in the film, if they're not playing themselves, they're playing another character. And there is emotion there, but it's not that person. But as an music artist, you get that person.
Right. But I mean, keep doing both. That's what I tell you. Keep doing both. But
Absolutely.
I just want to cover one more basis, before you get off here, and I just got to do it. Tiff, let's talk about you as a Black educator, school teacher. Like what evolves your mindset to give the youth to more of you while being a school teacher?
Yeah. I'm certified to teach in 5 different areas.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, I've transitioned from the school level to the academic level now. So I work I'm at Jackson State. I'm on the college level, on the collegiate level now. But I can talk about my experience there. And I was at the public school system for 2 years. And it was quite the experience. The children, there was a good connection there. And I felt like God sent me there for that time. I had some things going too. And so I need to be placed. You know what I mean? And I didn't know the purpose of the place. And I almost turned them down and said, no, and had I done that, I don't know where I would be right now. I'm glad that I did not, but I'm thankful for the experience and being able to connect with those children and to show them that someone from the same place that they live in who's still living there has accomplished the things that I've accomplished, and is humble enough to step foot inside of the classroom and share that time with them, and to pour into them, and to impart to them the wisdom, the knowledge, the talent, the skills. I mean, we're in the library and we're reading, but we're taking words and we are freestyling and rapping and, playing beats off of YouTube, and they in there rapping and I'm in there rapping too. And they are just totally, impressed with it. And then some of them found out who I was, and they would go and watch the shows and, oh, I saw you on such and such, or I saw you on the news last night. And they would come in and greet me in the morning, coming down the hallways and running up to hug me and all that stuff. And, many of them enjoyed the books. I would read my children's books to them and everything. So I think that it was a great time and an example, for them to see and to be able to, just take that and hopefully use it, for whatever reason God had me to plant the seed. I really hope that those children are successful. I hope that they remain safe and that they, lead successful lives, and that God continues to, just keep them and that they go on to do great things. I really believe that some of them will. Like, I really believe that the next president, that one of those kids that sat under, my tutelage at that time will be a great politician, or possibly even the next president. We did a whole big segment on that at one point, and I just saw a lot of greatness. Some great leaders. Some came from poverty, and came from broken families and so many different backgrounds. And coming to school probably was their safe haven. I remember I fussed at them right before we got out for COVID, because we were doing a Black History lesson and they weren't really listening. It was a 3rd grade class, and they didn't seem to care about the fact that, people got spit on or, got hit over the head or sprayed with water hoses and stuff like that. And the fact that they were sitting in the classroom and had books that they could access and be able to read, and they were just running all over the place, trying to play and sneak and play Roblox on computer and all of that stuff. And so we had a prophetic moment in the library where I told them that one day you're going to wish that you were able to come to school, and you won't be able to, and you'll be sitting at home. Of course, I was, my voice was more projected, but you're going to be sitting at home and you're going to wish you was able to come into this school. You're going to wish you were able to get these lessons. You're going to wish that, all the quality teachers that you have, y'all don't respect them, and if y'all don't, value them, they're going to leave and they won't be here. And you won't have the necessary tools and teachers, to help equip you for your future. You better grab on now, and fast and cut this madness out. And you know what? About 2 weeks after that, we got out for spring break and we never came back.
Wow.
We never came back.
Wow.
And they were sitting at home wishing they were at school, because after a while, everybody was glad to be at home for a while. But after a while, they got tired of sitting on that screen or sitting at that house. They were ready to come back to school. I know they were. My children were, at some point. So.
Right. Okay. Well, Tiff, I just wanted people to get the full circle of you, because the education has empowered you to do other things and take things to the next level and evolve more and more, so that the education is something that you always strongly believe in, and you always emphasize that. So I just want to share that with them too, share that with them as well, that you are educator as well, educator, creator, innovator, motivator, all of the above. So, but before we get out of here, I'm gonna let Nicole jump in, and then after she jumps in, I want you to tell everybody where they can support you at, follow you at, connect with you at, and all the above.
Absolutely. So, here in the near future, I would like to connect. And with you being a school teacher, we have some other things going on, and we're trying to reach the president. Okay. So, with that being said, if we get some campaigns going and some things like that, and me and King Jacob, we like to make things big. I would like you to come.
Okay.
And definitely do something on stage if it allows you to, if the timing is right, if you're not flying around the world. And if you are around the world, and depending on what you're doing, we can fly you back in.
Absolutely.
So I'm really, really grateful that we've had this opportunity to meet again. Be able to chat again. I want to bring you back here. When are you guys releasing EPK?
I'm not sure yet. Don't have a release date yet. Haven't named the album yet.
Okay.
It's still in the works. But it's definitely coming out this year. I'll be able to share some more information pretty soon here.
Please don't forget me when you do release it. We want to bring you back right after that.
Okay. I won't.
But we'll probably talk to you before then. And when the movie releases, I definitely want to watch it.
Yes.
What's going on? I know you probably can't give out any nuggets or anything like that, so we'll let it be a secret. But yeah, it's really nice meeting you, and I definitely will bring you back to the Winding Down show. And if the Winding Down show doesn't see fit, we'll definitely touch bases on the exquisite conversation and talk about some real cool jazzy things.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So if you can tell people what to actually connect with you at, follow you at, and how to support you, whatnot.
You can connect with me on social media. I'm at official Miz Tiffany. That's OFFICIALMIZTIFFANY. That's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I'll have a website. It's www.miztiffany.com. And you can get me at either one of those. My music is on all digital platforms. It's everywhere.
All right. You heard it first. And so, Miz Tiffany, I want to thank you and tell you that we appreciate you for coming on and chopping up and telling your story. And it has been a remarkable interview. And we look forward to having you on so many more platforms.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you.
As well.
See you soon.